Hey, the coach. In the first quarter, I think Ezzy had DT on her, and she passed it out, and then you kind of said something to her. Was that maybe a motion to be aggressive or something? And then just your thoughts on her first quarter.
I don't quite remember that exact play, but probably to be aggressive toward the rim, or when they had their small ball lineup to make sure she's posting. I can't remember that particular play, but I'm sure if it was early on, it was just a reminder about that.
I think just your thoughts on her first quarter, outscored Phoenix in that first quarter.
I thought she was very aggressive. I thought her pace was really good. A lot of, Ezzy's defensive anchor and agility and aggressiveness jump starts what we do on offense when we're playing in transition and we're playing in space. She's really good. She catches a lot of balls. She has really good hands. She has some tough finishes. But again, there's an energy level to her that we really fed off of.
Coach, I know you weren't happy, I'm sure, with the offense late, but just with your defense kind of continuing to play well and kind of hold it at that lead, is that something that's like, okay, we're not happy with one end of the court, but the other end is like it makes up for it?
Yeah, definitely, because we're going to hang our hat on defense, and that's where we're always going to start. When we can't score, we at least have to prevent other teams from scoring. I don't like a 5-minute drought of not scoring. And plus this week or so, 2 weeks, whatever it is Commissioner Cup. And so the emphasis is that every possession matters. And I don't want to put pressure on them to have to score, but there has to be more intention behind what we do offensively, especially if we understand the rules around Commissioner Cup and what we want to accomplish. But again, I'm super proud of how our defense continues to sustain us through our droughts.
Going back to pregame, you mentioned it's too early to kind of evaluate with the new pieces, but what does it mean to be stringing together wins while you're doing that process and growing?
Yeah, it's a good sign for us because I think that is also a morale booster and a confidence booster to know that we're still kind of working through kinks of, understanding each other, finding chemistry, making sure our systems are tight. But, if in fact we're not quite where we are, it's good to know it's confidently that we can be successful and find some rhythm and string along these wins. And also, a couple of those wins are on the road, and every game in this league is very tough. So we're finding ways to pull it out. And I told the team every game, every team in this league is tough, and sometimes it may not feel good how we win, but to find ways to be successful is a sign of a really good team.
Coach, with the change in the Commissioner Cup rules, like how does that change your approach to these games now that it's 5 instead of 10?
The urgency changes. So we've talked about it. A transition take foul free throw, a defensive 3 seconds free throw, a technical foul free throw. Like all of these points matter because it's only 5 games. It's important that we really lock into the details of every possession offensively and defensively. So just our urgency level shifts.
Does that change like with the lineups too, as far as rotations a little bit?
As far as what part?
Maybe as far as like playing your starters more minutes
yes,
or anything along
absolutely.
those? Yeah.
I mean, you guys saw like it's about trying to get these points. If it's comes to a tiebreaker or whatever, best record, all that, points matter. Points matter.
Hey, Coach, going back to the synergy, I asked Skylar and also Ezzy just how when Ezzy gets the rebound and then Skylar, the synergy that's there, how it enables the offense in your transition game. How important is they continue to get to know each other?
Yeah, I think early on, Sky was kind of coming back to the ball because she's been used to playing with bigs who kind of give that ball up. And I think she's adjusted great to letting Ezzy kind of rock in transition and just being available with needed. And even if she doesn't have the ball, sometimes that ball is going to Jewel and her getting to the other side of the floor. I think she's adjusting well to that. And also Ezzy, what she's doing in those moments, I think she's very confident with her ball handling, and also her decision making has been very sharp.
So when when Ezzy came in, she was, and now she is. Can you answer, put it in words in there?
When Ezzy came in, she was a mature, quiet, silent, quiet, silent is the same. Um, athletic being. Now she is a even more mature, confident beast.
Can you talk a little bit about Victoria's defense on Diana tonight? You know, she went 0 for 6 from 3,
Mhm.
held only 7 points. You know, talk a little bit about her, you know, impact that maybe, you know, people don't see on the stat sheet.
Thank you for asking that question. Did she know that Victoria got the defensive belt today? And I said, it's not what shows up on a stat sheet. You look at a stat sheet and you say, why? But to your point, she's in Diana's space. She's aggressive. She's blowing things up. And she's being very sharp with her scout defense. And so because of that, she got the belt today. Because I think it's just important for her to highlight and to continue to empower and encourage her to continue on this path of great defense to start this game. And she's had some tough assignments, and I think she's taken the challenge excellently.
Just to go on with the defensive scout, you held them to under 34% and under or 17% from 3. What kind of was the defensive game plan there, and how did you execute it?
We had a few keys, and one of those keys were to defend the 3-point line. A lot of those come from Taurasi, from Copper, from Sophie. And so we were just making sure we're up to touch, taking away, you know, some of those are jump switches to take away clean looks. And a lot of times we talk about just landing the plane. Sometimes the scout defense is to do a certain thing, but to do the most aggressive thing matters to take away their strength. We also talked about their transition offense because we're going to be cross-matched so much. So transition defense was huge. And I think, you know, you saw Ezzy having to guard Cloud sometime. You saw our post players taking guards and vice versa. So being attentive to our transition defense, but also when we got in the half court, making sure we're flushing the 3-point shooters off the line.
What was the explanation you got on your challenge on the charge Skylar tried to take?
On Skies to the mouth, that she fouled her, but that it got upgraded because of the follow through. She, as in Skylar, fouled her.
We'll go to Zoom to take a couple. Christian, go ahead, and then Blake, you'll wrap up.
Hey, Coach, you know, like during the several runs during the game where it felt like Phoenix was making a run back to the game after the team had like 20-plus point leads. It was a 13, I think 11-3 run and then a 7-0 run. You know, like playing off of the Victoria Vivian's question from earlier, you know, a lot of those stretches of the game that she plays such an important role, guarding usually the best wing player on the other side of the floor. A lot of these things aren't really noticed. And then today, 10.7 rebounds, things that do show up, a near double-double. People may think these things just come up out of nowhere, but, you know, they're not really seeing what's going on in practice. And, you know, especially during these huddles during the game, like as far as a coach standpoint with her and Skylar and, you know, players like these on the court, how often does that give you kind of like less of a leash of like to call timeouts or to kind of like rally the troops during times like that?
Yeah, well, I have a question for you. Is your name Kristen or Christian?
It's Christian like the religion, but there's no I at the end.
Okay. That always confuses me. Cool. All right. So just because people call me Nicole sometimes, and I just want to make sure that we're calling you the correct name. So as it relates to the timeouts and the flow, we have a veteran group, though they're new with each other. You know, there are times, and honestly, my timeout situation, I was in a little bit of a crunch because of that challenge that I took, which I felt like I shouldn't have taken or didn't have to take because the referee should have taken a look at Skylar's hit to the face because she was bleeding. I digress. I let them rock out a little bit because I know that some of those were just kind of our mental mistakes and our mental focus. Just reminding them to lock back in to our details. You know, Tori has been with Vic Schaefer, so defense is always her number one thing. And she's very smart. Like we talk in shoot around, she's like a coach on the floor and understanding concepts. And so because of that, I have a lot of trust in those guys. And when Skylar's on the floor being an extension of me, I know that we can get the ships back to where it needs to be because they understand that it needs to happen in that moment.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And last question, Blake.
Hey, Coach Quinn. This is Blake Spadaro from Blake's Take and WNBA Swish. The team scored 46 points in the first half compared to 34 in the second half. What did you think about the team's offensive execution in both halves specifically?
In the first half, I thought the ball was moving a lot more. I thought that in the start of the fourth quarter, we got a little bit stuck and stagnant. They went super small ball. That was a lineup that we hadn't seen in quite some time. So that kind of, I think, stalled us out a little bit. The good thing about it is that we were getting stops. The bad thing is the crowd stood for 5 minutes. Sorry about that. But we have an ability to sustain with our defense. So I'm gonna take a positive spin on this and say that, our defense is top notch right now in those moments.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach.